Good morning. So today I am at another road that I really like. It's the Grizzly Peak Road, and I am gonna go over. I'm gonna talk about. I'm not gonna push it as hard, of course, because I know this street is a lot more busy. There's bicyclists riding around and stuff, so it's not the same as the other one that I went to. I specifically went to that road because I know it's really remote. It's way far out of the way. It's it's a longer way and a slower way off the freeway, and you gotta get off the freeway and like drive a few miles to get to it. So there was reasoning behind why I really wanted to push the car a bit more on the very first drive. Now I kind of know the limits, so I'm not gonna push it as much, but just try to like enjoy the ride. And I also want to talk about like why did I prefer the GT86 over the GR86, even though the GR has been out for about, like, I think it came out in 21, I believe, so for about like almost 3 years or so. So the few reasons why I went with the GT, the number one reason for me is the looks. I honestly don't really like the look of the GR86 is not a bad looking car, but it is nowhere near as aggressive. And also, I mean, it's just my opinion, I don't think LFA is the best looking car, but there's a lot of like styling cues that it picked up from the LFA. If you look at it, it looks like a smaller LFA. The grille, the headlights, the hood, all those things kind of like match. They don't really match, but you can kind of see. I'll put up a picture of the comparison. You will be able to see what I'm talking about. So that was the reason number one. Second is I was able to, if I would have bought a GR86, I would have had to basically pay at least maybe 3,000-4,000 more, maybe a little bit more than that, and I would have gotten a car with stock suspension, stock brakes, and no exhaust. I'm the kind of guy who does not really like to modify too much. I would rather, if I would have bought a used car, like a non-CPO car, I would have basically tried to look for a car that had the exhaust I wanted, had the suspension already, and like all the little goodies, and then I would have just spent the money and that's it. And even when I was getting the CPO, I was looking around at the prices and everything, and I figured that this TRD for some reason was priced a lot less. I mean, to be honest, so I was looking at the pricing on cars, and even with like 30,000-40,000 miles on them, the regular GT86s were listed anywhere from like 29 to 30,000, and not in just my area, but like even up towards Seattle and towards LA, they had the similar thing going on. So, basically, yeah, I kept looking for a while. I would say like at least over a year or something. Even when I had the IS300, while I had that car, I was still like looking for these just to have an idea. When I want to pull the trigger, I have a good idea what the prices are like. So for this thing at 27,000 miles with the TRD exhaust, the Brembo brakes are pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I pushed it that day, there was no fade. The pedal stayed pretty firm throughout the whole thing. Again, I'm gonna say I wasn't pushing it all the way, but still, it gave me a good idea of what the car is gonna be like. So yeah, styling was one of the reasons. Pricing was the second reason. And the third reason is that's just my personal opinion, but I'm gonna give you a little idea. So I believe the 7th generation Camry, I have a 8th generation Camry 2018. So the 7th generation Camry actually comes, I think it's a 2-liter engine that does, I think like 32-33 miles to the gallon on the freeway or whatever. And then Toyota went back and redesigned. They basically bumped it up to a 2.5-liter engine. And even though they made the bore bigger, they actually put it with, instead of a 6-speed, they put an 8-speed transmission. So I know the other details too, but just listen to my point. So, but now the reason I actually went ahead and bought the 2018 model is because the 2018, even though it's a bigger motor, it's faster, it is still more efficient because of the new technology or whatever. So they have, and also the transmission, like they did a whole bunch of little things that all help at the end, and they make the car a lot better. So and actually I get 40 miles to the gallon on the highway, and it's not even a hybrid, it's just a regular Camry SE. So my thought process was that if they're gonna bore the engine out, they should have basically did something with the gearing or with the transmission and like some other stuff or whatever, where it would have been impressive to me that they went from a 2-liter to 2.4-liter engine. I would have went ahead with it if the fuel economy was about the same and all that. You're only getting 20 horsepower more. Yes, you're getting more torque, but then I don't race people at the red lights and stuff. This is what I like to do. So here I'm 90% sure, like especially for me, I've never driven GR. I don't think in the near future I will anyways. So like, why does that matter to me? And then I don't even like the looks of it, like comparatively. It's not a bad looking car, as I said, but I'm not a big fan. If obviously I bought the GT86, and that's testament enough to like I prefer the look on this car a lot more. And then you put that, yeah, it's a bigger motor that takes even more gas. So that's the last thing. Like, of course I'm gonna be driving this car and pushing it and stuff. So if on paper the EPA rating sucks, it's a lot worse than this one, then of course I'll be filling it up freaking every 2-3 days or whatever or whatnot. Like, that's another thing on the back of your head, you know what I mean? Like, I can have about the same amount of fun. Like, I know a lot of people will not agree or whatever, but this is just my opinion.